I've started realizing that when you're looking at the way certain people on this site interact with each other, and I'm just talking about people who like to engage in debating with each other, not about any sort of drama or anything like that, but just the way people interact with each other, that in a certain sense there are actually quite strong parallels between people as seemingly diametrically opposed as, for example, Thunderfoot on the one hand and Venom Fang X on the other hand. And this might seem surprising because obviously, you would think that, here is Thunderfoot on the extreme rationalist camp and Venom Fang X on the extreme religion camp. How can there be any similarity between the two? But I think there is. Now don't get me wrong, because at a certain level, at a certain way of looking at things, Thunderfoot would beat Venom Fang X hands down. When these people start talking about facts regarding physical reality, then Thunderfoot appears to be by and large talking about verifiable facts that we can confirm for ourselves, that we can double check, we can measure, and we can come to, if we were honest in our appraisals of these facts, we would come to the same conclusions as he does. For example, that the universe is about 13.7 billion years old. That is pretty much indisputable at this point in time. And Venom Fang X, on the other hand, would be presenting facts that seem to be pulled out of thin air, that bear no relationship to reality at all, and coming to conclusions that are, at best, hilariously funny, but in fact completely and utterly wrong. So, where is the similarity here? I think the similarity between the two lies at a slightly different level, and that is in the approach that both of them take to reality as such. In both cases, even though the quality of what we're looking at is vastly superior in the case of Thunderfoot as compared to Venom Fang X, but in both cases these people are working exclusively on the basis of an internalized model of reality, a model that they have represented within their own minds and upon which they then base their conclusions. What does that mean? That means, in realistic terms, that watching something like a debate between Thunderfoot and Venom Fang X is a bit akin to watching stroke victims wrestle. Both cases, it seems like they have completely and utterly switched off their right hemisphere, and they seem to be working exclusively on the basis of the left hemisphere, which only seems to understand the world and reality on the basis of what it has internalized, how it has modeled this for itself, and how it understands its own model. The big mistake of a left hemisphere worldview is to mistake such internal models for reality, and that is always wrong. And Thunderfoot is as guilty of this as Venom Fang X. When he talks science, this is not as immediately obvious because he tends to get his facts straight and his conclusions are therefore by and large correct. But when it comes to understanding human relationships, for example, when it comes to understanding the dynamics of interactions between different groups of people, then this glaringly obvious misrepresentation in his own mind of how humans interact with each other becomes immediately obvious. And that is why somebody like Thunderfoot can make such hilariously misfiring statements about the likes of, for example, Muslims, not understanding that Muslims, of course, like any other large group of people, consist of a billion individuals. And even though they might share certain beliefs, each of them will look at the world in their own individual, from their own individual perspective. That is something that your right hemisphere would understand instinctively, that you would understand, that you would immediately grasp. But the way the right hemisphere grasps things is in an intuitive way, in a more direct way, in a taking reality as it presents itself to you sort of way. Not by translating it and internalizing it into your own model and then looking at the representation of reality as the left hemispheres want to do. And that is the big similarity I can see between somebody like Thunderfoot and Venom Fang X. These people seem to be both working exclusively from this left hemisphere type of perspective, completely ignoring their own standing in actual reality, their relationships with actual human beings, speaking from abstractions and coming to tragically hilarious misunderstandings and incorrect conclusions.